Depolama alanının %84 kadarı kullanılıyor. Depolama alanınız biterse dosya oluşturamaz, düzenleyemez ve yükleyemezsiniz. 3 ay boyunca 49 lira 99 kuruş yerine 11 lira 99 kuruş ödeyerek 100 GB depolama alanını ailenizle paylaşın. There is a kind of tiredness that only comes after you have made the same dua with different tears. You sit on the edge of the bed after Fajr, not because you are full of strength, but because sleep no longer knows how to hold you. Your hands rise almost by habit. Your words are simple now, stripped of decoration. Ya Allah, open a way for me. And then the day begins as if nothing has changed. The same message is unanswered, the same bill is waiting, the same ache returns when the house becomes quiet, the same person misunderstands you, the same door stays closed. But something is happening in that silence. Not everything Allah does announces itself. Sometimes mercy begins before the sign appears. Sometimes the door you needed starts opening while you are still standing in front of the door you wanted, wondering why it has not moved. The hard part is not only waiting, the hard part is continuing to trust while your life gives you no obvious evidence that your prayer has been received. You watch someone else receive the job, the marriage, the healing, the apology, the stability, the answer you have been begging for. You smile because you do not want envy to poison your heart, but inside, something trembles. You ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Is my dua weak? Is Allah displeased with me? That moment is delicate, because pain can begin to interpret Allah for you. Exhaustion can whisper meanings that are not true. Delay can start to look like rejection when the heart has been wounded for too long. But the believer has to learn a quieter truth. Allah's hearing is not proven by speed. His mercy is not measured by how quickly circumstances obey your emotions. If this reaches the part of you that kept praying while feeling forgotten, let the like be a quiet mark of gratitude, not for the pain itself, but for the fact that your heart is still turning back to Allah even after being tired. This is where spiritual maturity becomes quiet. A person who is still ruled by ego thinks an answered dua must look like being proven right, being admired, being compensated in front of the people who overlook them. But the servant Allah is purifying begins to want something cleaner. You want a halal way, even if it is slower. You want peace that does not require disobedience. You want rizq with barakah, not money that multiplies stress and empties the soul. You want love that brings you closer to Allah, not attention that flatters your loneliness while weakening your boundaries. You want clarity, even if clarity means walking away. You want forgiveness, even if it means admitting where you were wrong. That shift is not weakness. It is evidence that your dua has been working on you. Later in the video, leave a comment answering this one question. What is one door Allah closed in your life that you only later recognized as protection? Not to expose your pain, but to name the mercy you could not see when it first arrived, wearing the clothing of loss. Divine timing is not a decorative phrase for people who do not understand hardship. It is often learned through very practical humiliation. You apply for something and receive no reply. Then, months later, you discover the organization collapsed. The manager was unjust, or the role would have required you to abandon responsibilities Allah placed in your care. You try to hold on to a connection, and it slips away. Then later, you see how dependent, anxious, and distant from yourself you had become. You beg for a problem to end quickly, but the slow process teaches you budgeting, emotional boundaries, healthier speech, better prayer, and the courage to ask for help. None of this means pain was easy, and it does not mean you should pretend disappointment does not hurt. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us to turn to Allah with need, not to perform strength for an audience. But it does mean delay can carry instruction. It can become a classroom where Allah removes illusions one by one until you stop asking only for escape, and begin asking for guidance that will not destroy you after it rescues you. There is a scene many people live through but rarely describe honestly. You finish praying Isha, and the house settles into that late-night stillness where everyone seems to have a life, except you. The phone is face down because you already checked it too many times. You made dua for clarity, but the confusion is still there. You made dua for relief, but the weight did not immediately lift. Then, without drama, you choose not to send the angry message. You choose not to reopen the conversation that always leaves you smaller. You choose not to defend yourself to someone who has already decided not to understand. You put the phone away, make wudu again, and whisper, Allah, I leave this with you because I do not know how to carry it cleanly. That is not a small moment. That is a door opening inside you, not the door of public victory, not the door where everyone finally sees your pain, but the door of restraint. And restraint is often the first mercy because it prevents your wounded self from making a decision your healed self would regret. Then comes the strange season where nothing visible has fully changed, but your reactions begin to change. The same trigger appears, yet it no longer controls your whole day. The same person says something sharp, and you feel the sting, but you do not become the sting. The same uncertainty returns, but this time you pray before spiraling. You still have concerns, but panic no longer gets to lead the meeting inside your chest. This is Basira beginning to wake up, a kind of inner sight Allah gives when the heart has been humbled enough to stop demanding that everything makes sense immediately. You start noticing patterns you were too emotionally flooded to see before. You realize that every time you rushed, you entered trouble. Every time you forced something, your peace vanished. Every time you ignored that small discomfort in your heart, the situation later exposed itself. And every time you slowed down, prayed, consulted someone wise, and waited without bitterness, the path became cleaner. The door may not have opened in the way you imagined, but Allah was opening perception. And perception is sometimes the mercy that saves you before the opportunity arrives. The door you needed may open so quietly that an untrained heart would miss it. It may look like one honest conversation after months of confusion. It may look like being blocked from a path you were too attached to choose against. It may look like waking up one morning and realizing you no longer crave someone's approval. It may look like a small halal income after many rejections, not enough to impress anyone, but enough to breathe and begin again. It may look like being given the strength to apologize without collapsing into shame. It may look like finding the right question to ask, the right scholar to listen to, the right friend to trust, the right silence to keep. Sometimes the opening is not the removal of the trial, but the removal of the blindness that made the trial unbearable. Allah may not change the whole landscape at once. He may first calm the heart enough for you to see the path that was always near, but hidden behind fear, hurry, and emotional noise. So do not insult your dua by assuming it disappeared just because you did not see an instant result. A sincere dua is not wasted breath. It is heard by the one who knows the pain beneath the words, the shame you did not confess to people, the fear you disguised as tiredness, the longing you carried after every salah, and the private effort nobody clapped for. Keep asking, but ask with a heart willing to be guided, not only satisfied. Keep moving, but move without trying to force open what Allah has sealed for your protection. Keep trusting, but let that trust make you steadier, not passive. The door that opens may not feed your ego, but it will serve your soul. It may not arrive with noise, but it will carry mercy. And one day, perhaps in a moment so ordinary that nobody around you notices, you will realize the silence was not empty. Allah heard you before you knew how to explain yourself, and the closed door was not the end of your dua. It was the beginning of the path that finally led you where your heart needed to be.